Hello and welcome to episode 85 of the Goodwin Boxing Ring Talk Show. I'm not a better looking version of Martin Theobald. I'm Kevin Campion. I'm joined today, Steve Goodwin. How you doing, Steve?
I'm very well, thank you. Very good.
So first off, where's Martin?
Well, he's not been caught by his wife this time. He's off to the top. He's off to the Tottenham game to watch Tottenham Norwich. So
Is he?
Yeah.
That's why he's not here.
That's why he's not
I'm
here.
doing this because he's going to Tottenham.
He's going
Norwich.
football. Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so obviously normal procedure, obviously slightly different. I'm not as experienced as Martin, so we're going to go through it. We're going to review some of the things that's happening in Goodwin Boxing, talk about fights coming up and fights has been. First off, Deion Jumah, weekend defending his English title.
It was fantastic at Manchester. He, I mean, the fights, you can see the fight on the whole fight's on YouTube, and if you haven't watched it, I suggest you go and watch the fight. It's a brilliant fight. There's commentary on there with Steve Bunce, I think it is, and some other people up there. But it was a really, I mean, the video footage is good, and you can watch the fight. It was up and down, topsy turvy, and Deion showed a lot of heart and a lot of grit, and he put in an amazing performance. And Joe Gallagher said after the fight he just felt Deion wanted it slightly more. And that may well have been the case, but he really, really went for it. But Sam Hyde is a warrior. I don't think you can fault him, but Deion took over in the championship rounds and won the fight. It now puts him as mandatory for Reactport. So we do know that Deion now definitely gets a crack at the British title, which has been the aim since we've looked after him. So now we've got the breakthrough. He's
been on the periphery for ages, Deion, isn't he? Very, very talented. Obviously turned over, everyone was singing and dancing about him, then kind of went quiet for a while, and obviously you built him back up and obviously secured the English, obviously defended it, had to go away obviously as a purse bids, but went and defended it. But he's kind of been on the edge, and people are really now, on the outside of boxing and starting to learn about Deion.
It's really difficult because, as you know, the big promoters have shown zero interest in him.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he's got everything that you would want in a boxer. He's articulate, he can sell a ticket, he can fight. Do you know what I mean? He's got the whole package, he's got a great setup. So yeah, it's interesting why he's sort of gone under the radar a little bit.
It's not even under the radar, I would say literally tried to be blocked.
Yeah.
It's been harder navigating Deion, although we've achieved our goal now, we're there. I mean, they can't block him anymore, he's in. But it's been very difficult, and I hope to find out really why the bigger promoters, some of the bigger promoters really just don't want anything to do with it.
Because he's done it all the hard way, hasn't he? He's come up, he's sold his tickets, like I say, he's had to go away to defend his thing. He's done everything the perfect way, and he hasn't been in a bit of trouble. He's always been professional.
Exactly.
Because that's the thing, everything about him is, he's a professional guy. So it's interesting to see why he hasn't, attracted that.
It'll all come out, and it's nothing to, and we've had to manage him in spite of that, not because of that. People don't realise it's so much easier to manage a fighter when a TV company wants to get them. If you're managing Conor Ben, that job is a doddle.
Sure.
An absolute doddle.
Yeah.
Right? To manage Deion Jumah, it's not been a doddle for either myself, for Deion, or for his trainer Gary.
Through no fault of his own though, is it?
No fault of his fault, no fault of mine, no fault of Gary's. So we've had to use skill sets in abundance to navigate, and it's worked. He's there now, and it'd be interesting to see what the future holds. But as long as he keeps winning.
Talking about Gary Logan there as well. Gary Logan is coach. Obviously, you've seen Deion for a couple of years on your management. How do you think Gary's improved Deion over his
Deion was a quality operator when he started because he was signed by the Sowlands. There was a lot of hoo-ha about him. But Gary Logan's a good trainer. I've seen him do well with Dean Richardson. I've seen him do well with Deion Jumah. I mean, he's a quality coach. Really good coach. And obviously he was a good quality boxer himself. He probably never fulfilled his own potential. But as a coach, I think he's probably a better coach than he was a fighter. And he was a good fighter.
He's really good. What I like about Gary as a coach as well, he doesn't try to hide the limelight for himself. He goes very much about his business. He's very sort of like in the shadows, and very much you see the top coaches do that. Don't try and grab too much limelight. It's a thing. No. And obviously talk about Dean Rich, you just mentioned there, as you mentioned, obviously coming up on the 14th of March, he defends his southern area.
Another pleasure to deal with.
And who Kate Richardson, I have to say it this way, Dean's mum, Dean, I'm sure you won't want me to necessarily say this, but Dean's mum is probably one of the best, most organised people to deal with. Kate Richardson deserves a shout out at this point.
Absolutely. Lovely lady as well. Just great family, and they deserve everything. And again, I'd say we've done the perfect management job with Dean, just as we've done with Deion. and Dean defends his title, his Southern Area title, on the 14th of March. But what people don't realise about Dean, they think he's further advanced than he is,
Sure.
and he is advanced, but he had a very limited amateur experience. So we haven't taken here a 30, 40, 50 bout amateur. We've taken a novice amateur, developed him to an undefeated record with plenty of stoppages. He's appeared at Wembley Arena. He's been on undercards of big fights. He's won his title. He's got a chance to defend his title. So he's just doing it quietly, but without doubt he keeps winning and be a TV fighter.
We've watched him grow up effectively, haven't we, in terms of boxing things. As remember the first time he came here, a young lad, wasn't 100% sure whether he'd be able to sell tickets, wasn't sure whether the pros was necessarily the right way to him to go, but obviously really developed and been moved along nicely.
He's one that we've taken from being a baby, which is fantastic, really. He was never a baby, Dean. You know what I mean? He was a baby in the sport, didn't know anything, and we've taken him from absolutely nothing with no superstar amateur pedigree to titles.
Was a decent amateur, but like you say, not like
he hadn't won any major titles. He'd won a majority of his fights, but he hadn't developed into an ABAs or anything like that. But he's developed as a man, he's developed as a fighter, and for Dean Richardson, it's another one that Gary Logan has done a great job with. So
good stable there with obviously Deion thing. So moving on, Jordan Joseph.
Yeah, our next title fight is Jordan Joseph. He travels to box Powell August for the Southern Area Light Heavyweight title on the 29th of February. We received an offer for that fight from Chris Sanagar down there. And I'll just cover something now that's very important about boxers selling tickets. We cover this all the time. It was a really good financial offer. We took it. But Jordan is not the biggest ticket seller in the world. And we bang on, as you know, because you're in these meetings. When fighters come up to see us, we say to them, selling tickets and building your profile is massive, not just for having to get through the financials of your early fights, for when big promoters want to knock on your door, for when you get to big fights. And if you sell more tickets, it gives the promoters in your hometown a bigger play to stage those fights in your favour.
Yeah.
If you don't sell tickets, then you are not going to be sought after by the big promoters, and sometimes you're not going to have the financial clout because small promoters depend on ticket sales. You're not going to have the financial clout to bid big for fights. So consequently, then the fighters have to go into the opponent's backyard.
And it's always a sore subject, tickets there, whenever you mention it. It is hard for boxers, we understand that, and it's almost as hard as the fighting with the ticket selling. But big promoters have similar problems. They have bigger arenas, they want to fill seats and things like that. And if you're not a Conor Ben, we always use him as an example, but if you're not a name, it takes time to build that, and you have to build a fan base, and you have to work hard at it, and it is difficult. Obviously, as a promotional company, we try and do everything we can. We're in our green studio as we speak now, which is obviously one thing we've got here. We've got a professional photographer, and it's a shame that it falls on the promoters, but it's a shame that it falls on the boxers. But it is something that if you turn a professional boxer, that's one of the things you have to accept is part and parcel.
And look at Terry Harper with Steffi Ball. I mean, Eddie Hearn signed her. He signed her for ability, but she also packs out arenas. Yeah. So if Terry Harper sold 5 tickets or 10 tickets or 20 tickets, Eddie Hearn would not have taken her under the wing. Yeah. And that's what boxers need to grasp, that they need to work at that. Yeah. And you know full well there's plenty of boxers out there that some we have, some other people have, who just don't bother marketing themselves properly.
Yeah, and it is that thing, it's that, it shouldn't be down to the boxers to sell tickets, it should be down to promoters, and it's always like, it should be about the level of fight. And the purist is right, but the reality isn't that.
Well, you know full well, you get Eddie Hearn looking at a fighter, or even Francis Warren, or whoever, or Mick Hennessy, if he's doing Channel 5, the first question they ask is, and David Hay was the same when we worked with David Hay, how many tickets did they sell? That was the first question they asked. And then they'll talk about ability afterwards.
Yeah, and also because, people I think sometimes misunderstand, there's pressure from the production company. So the production company, the TV company, they want full arenas. They don't want to show a product on TV that's half empty. So there's also a pressure from their side to obviously, fill stadiums as well, which is why that bleeds over to the promoter and then subsequently
so the boxer's got to do both jobs. And that's, and with Jordan, who's a very talented young man, That's the reason he's boxing away.
Sure.
And I'm just being really honest.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't match that offer to box him at home. So it was purely that. Now with the Deion Jumah thing with Joe Gallagher, that was slightly different. Deion Jumah sells a very, very good ticket. But the point was Joe Gallagher had a sponsor that threw a crazy amount of money at the fight that was just, I mean, they have done their conkers on the basis that Sam would win. And we appreciate Joe putting that money up, but that was a gamble with somebody else's money.
Sure.
Because that was a fortune. Now, if somebody's going to do that, then that's what they were banking on, Hyde winning, getting a big fight with Reactpor and recouping.
Sure.
But it didn't happen for them. So that's why Deion went away, and that's really how it works. But if you've got, fighters like Dean Richardson has never gone away from home. He's been able to build on his own. Linus Udofi has been able to build at home. Kay Prosper's been able to build at home. Because they go out there and they work their nuts off selling tickets and build and do things like Linus with Luton Town and stuff like that. And therefore they've been able to be built at home and building a fan base. And that's how you get to the next level on the top level. It's the best way. You're not then taking disadvantage fights.
So, spinning on his head, I'm a boxer, I'll come and sign with you. What are you as a promotional company, or what do you do as a as a management company? What do you do for me to try and help me build that brand?
We do video footage of people, we get press articles out there, we do press releases, we try and help and encourage the boxers, we will advise them in how to market themselves correctly, we will just help them and give them some tips on how to do that. And obviously, if they're fighting on a Goodwin show, they also get the big production, the screens and everything like that, which helps to retain fighters, which if you go on some of these other shows which look like unlicensed shows, boxers' ticket sales we know fall through the floor, they don't sell. So we have to work on every single aspect to help a box, both inside and outside the ring, develop their fan base and sales. It's not always successful because some boxers can't do it, incapable of doing it for whatever reason, or I don't want to.
And it is difficult, isn't it? It's hard.
And it's not easy. We can only help.
I would struggle to sell tickets. It's,
I'm sure.
I haven't got any friends. So,
so it is a difficult one, but it is very important that boxers embrace that, because if we often say, and we're honest, if you don't want to embrace that side of marketing, stay amateur.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go that far in professional boxing.
We agree with the point that it's we understand it's not ideal. We understand it's not the perfect thing. In an ideal world, no one have to sell tickets, promote, sell it all. But we can't. We don't live in the ideal world. We live in the real world, and that's the reality of it. So obviously, Jordan, tough fight for him.
Tough fight. Pamela August was a really good amateur. I think he's got a very, very tough call. Jordan is naturally.
Jordan can fight.
Going on to it, Jordan is as naturally does enough. Doing enough is not going to be enough.
Sure.
Jordan is a very talented boy, very talented, skilled boxer. But at times, and I think he knows that, he doesn't go into gear 3 and 4. He stays in gear 2 to 3. And it's not, when you go away from home, staying in gear 2 to 3 will not be enough to win that fight. Jordan Joseph is capable of winning that fight, but he has to put in a performance with more energy, more punches than he's ever done before.
But obviously Jordan's quite an honest guy, so he knows as well. He's, you've had meetings with him.
Yes.
He's aware of, where he's come short in another fight. So
he knows this fight is absolutely crucial to him. But on the plus side, he's getting very well paid, and a ring is a ring, as Deion showed last weekend. And if he's good enough, he'll win.
Okay, so that's the 2 fights. Any other fights you want to talk about?
Sam Gilley, Curtis Felix.
So let's go to Felix. Yep, preview next new fight. All right. So obviously I know what's been going on, and obviously so Sam Gilley and Curtis Felix, so Southern area title fight. There's been negotiations between you and.
So the first thing was we had to manoeuvre Curtis Felix into the position to fight Sam Gilley, and obviously when you then get in that position, when you're managing a fighter, you're looking at money. Right? You're looking at where is the fighter better off fighting, what's going to earn him the most money, what's going to give him the most advantage. And when you're negotiating in boxing, it's no different than playing poker.
Right.
It's, you have a goal that you may not tell somebody else is your goal.
Sure.
And they're not necessarily telling you what their goal is either. So you're playing a game of poker. And the bottom line is the end product of this is perfectly acceptable to both parties, I think. From our point of view, we were prepared to stage the fight for a certain amount of money, but we had a certain amount of money that we wanted to reach if we fight on somebody else's show. So we therefore, sometimes, without giving too many things away, you may offer more than you ideally want to offer to inspire that other person to be forced into a purse bid.
Sure.
And if they then feel, we've got to get this fight, they will pay much more than you would ever have got elsewhere.
Sure.
And from the point of view of our end, we know the resultant effect of the bid. We're really happy. Obviously, they're really happy. But from our point of view, we've got substantially more than we were ever offered in any negotiation. Not substantially more. Yeah, it's substantially more.
Depends on, obviously,
especially if you
how
win,
the fight goes, isn't
because
it?
if you win, you get 60% of the bid. If you lose, you get 40% of the bid.
So if we explain that a little bit more, so obviously a purse bid, so what happens in a fight is the board will call a fight to purse bids. You may negotiate privately before that. If an agreement can't be reached, or sometimes even if before negotiations start, the board will put a fight out, won't they? They'll say, right, Steve Goodwin versus Kevin Campion is the fight. It then goes out on the notice and they gives a time limit for when you have to send the purse bids in, stuff like that. From then, the promoters or anybody, bearing in mind, purse bid is open to every promoter, every promoter in the country. It's not restricted to just the people. So anyone can then bid for that fight. They put a sum of money in a sealed envelope, sent to the board, and it's open to the thing. Now, the way the split of that money depends, doesn't it, on obviously...
Once it goes to purse bid. If it's a vacant title, then the purse bid is split 60% to the winner, 40% to the loser, 50% is drawn. If it's a purse bid where there's a champion, it's 60% to the champion, 40% to the challenger. So if you're purse bidding when you've got the champion, you've got the best end of the stick. With a vacant title like this was, the purse bid will depend on the result of the fight.
Sure.
So when you are purse bidding, when you're private negotiating, you're making an offer of a certain amount maybe. But when you're purse bidding, you've got to take the risk that you lose.
From the bottom end and the top end.
From the bottom and the top end.
Depend on the outcome of the fight, depends on how much your liability, your financial liability.
Without going into any detail, Curtis is receiving more money if he loses than was on the table.
Was offered before.
If he loses, there's substantially more
if he wins.
So it's been a brilliant result for us. If, for example, we had got the fight, we did make a bid, but nowhere near the bid, quite very short of the bid that was bid from the other side. But on the end of the day, we, as I said last week, before the bids were opened, I expected them to win the bid.
Sure, yeah. Last Ring Talk, episode 84.
I said I expect them to win the bid. Yeah. Now that was sort of...
So why did you expect them to win the bid? It's obviously,
because
obviously I know, but trying to explain for the people who might be watching it. So
because Sam
what can you do with a purse bid to make it?
Because Sam Gilley is a big ticket seller. He sells a lot of tickets in Brentwood, right? So therefore, and there's egos involved in this. I knew they would be desperate to stage the fight, and financially, Sam Gilley sells more tickets than Curtis Felix, right? He's a bigger ticket seller, so I knew they would go in. But the whole point of the whole protracted negotiation was to make them go in much bigger than they would have done before. Because that way, my job isn't working for Sam Gilley. It's not working for whoever the other promoter is, for Lee, who's doing the MTK bidding. My job is Curtis Felix. So my job for Curtis Felix is to get him the best deal that can possibly be obtained, whether it be at home or away. And obviously, you want to fight at home, but there becomes a point when, if I can get a purse bid up way beyond anything that I've ever seen for Southern Area on a small hall show, then it makes good sense for Curtis to take the money. He's never been paid this amount of money, and if I hadn't have gone and proceeded down to this distance of the purse bid and played the poker game all the way through, then he wouldn't have got this. We were prepared to stage it for a certain amount of money, but not for the money that they're going to stage it at, because again they've probably got a bit more leverage in the selling, because Sam Gilley does sell a humongous amount of tickets. Hence, we go back to the ticket selling again. So this is not a thing. So I congratulate. I have no problem with purse bids, because some we win, some we lose. But if I feel that going to Perspits is going to get us a better deal, then that's the route that we want to go.
And as you said earlier on, it's an outcome that probably both sides are happy with. They're obviously Sam Gilley's team are happy that they've won it. They get to stage. Obviously, you're happy from your side because obviously, and Curtis is happy because obviously the amount of money that now is guaranteed. So with a Perspits, well, that money's guaranteed. It's not connected to ticket sales like most of them. That's a guaranteed money that he will receive between the lower end, the 40%.
He hasn't got to sell
60%.
one ticket.
No, to get his money. So that's the advantages sometimes for the boxer if it goes to Perspits. So
when I told the trainer Barry yesterday, this is what's happened, I just told him on the thing. So just so you know, this isn't me bullshitting. He just went back and went boom, exclamation mark, because he knew that what we were doing had come off.
Sure.
So that was it.
And I say the advantages of a Perspit is obviously it can earn more money as it's done with that. The disadvantage of Perspit is if a fight goes to a Perspit and no one bids for the fight, effectively.
That's why you've always got to have a bid.
Sure.
Well, however low that bid is, you need to have a bid in there so that if that other person does not bid and they're double bluffing. So in other words, if for example Sam Gilley's team were double bluffing and they thought that by going to Perspits they were getting more money, then they would have been a bit disappointed yesterday. But it's sort of a double bluffing game. But you have to have a purse bid in case they were double bluffing and weren't bidding at all. Then we would have got the fight for.
Sure.
They might have been very disappointed.
And you do see it though, not at our ones, but you see it in fights that don't get purse bid, and then obviously ultimately then what happens ultimately is nothing. The fight dies and the title opportunity is lost.
And this is about management, about understanding the system inside out. And you know, from the point of view here, a fight has got made, which both fighters wanted, and now may the best fighter win. And if Curtis is good enough, he'll win. If Sam's good enough, he'll win. But both fighters are going to get well paid. So well done to Lee and for doing the bid, because this is what it's about at the end of the day. What we've got to remember is when we're looking after fighters, it is about having the right fights for the right money. And Curtis is not a 24-year-old. He's 31 now. He's had a crack at the English title, where he came up short against Echo Esserman.
Good fighter.
Good fighter. Sam Gilley, with all due respect to Sam, in my opinion, is a really good fighter. He's no Echo Esserman. Echo Esserman is, in my opinion, a really high level fighter. I really rate Echo Esserman. I think he's brilliant. So it's not as hard a fight as Echo Esserman. Curtis goes into the fight on paper as the underdog. But
Sam would probably be the favourite if you
But Curtis is not without a chance, and you know, I think it's a great fight and it's a good show it's on, and congratulations to all involved. We move on now to the next fight we got to plan at some point.
So so hopefully that's explained the purse bid slightly. I know some people watching are a bit confused about how purse bids went. Okay, so new signings. Obviously you mentioned one this week, you've got more to come, but Jamie Blake is the one you've announced, light heavyweight.
He's 21 years of age this week.
Yesterday. Happy birthday for yesterday, Jamie.
Really talented amateur, trained by Gary Spring down in Kent. Gary's a great up and coming coach, and we're looking forward to working with Gary for many, many years to come. He's a really talented, hard punching light heavyweight, and he's the sort of type of kid that we can develop onwards. Reminds me a little bit of Dean Richardson again at a different weight. Same sort of, a bit younger, a bit older than Dean when he turned, but that sort of boxer with that sort of amateur experience. And I sort of see him being a Dean Richardson down the road in the light heavyweight division.
Good response from him as well. Lots of interactions on Instagram and social medias from him, and people really pleased. Some were surprised because I think he kept it on the DL, on the down low.
Oh, really?
That he returned thing. But yeah, so it's exciting. But that heavyweight division, what sort of division is he coming into? Is it going to be? Obviously, I know we're miles away from titles with him starting off. But
light heavyweight division is not always the strongest division. And
some good fights there though, but you're right, it doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't have the strength all down. I mean, at the moment you've got some very good fighters. The Dan Azizis of this world has come through the southern area. I think Paul August, Jordan Joseph, cracking fight for the southern area. We obviously had Joel McIntyre and Miles Shinkwin in a previous era now.
That was, in
a previous era now.
I talked about just Miles
Shinkwin. And Frank Buglioni, of course.
Miles Shinkwin's, how it changes. Obviously, Miles Shinkwin's the English light heavyweight champion was. I spoke to him a bit before for the fight preview with regards and asked him for his expert opinion, and his message back was, "Mate, I'm a plumber now." He did give his Steve's opinion, but it was just funny.
That's really
Now he's a plumber. So okay, so moving on. So talk about one to watch. So obviously you've got a whole periphery of talent and boxers in your.
Well, the one we're going to watch now is he's 4-0, trained by Matthew Hake. And he's ranked 36 in the country after only 4 fights in the super middleweight division. It's Bradley Spencer. Got married recently, so he's had a little bit of inactivity whilst he's looking after his new wife. I'm sure that was more enjoyable than running up the hills. Yeah. I'm sure he had more enjoyable training there than running up the hills. But Bradley's out again in March. And we're delighted with his progress. And this year we need to build momentum. It's very important for Bradley now that we get those 4 fights in this year and get him to 8-0, so we can start looking at things at the end of the year.
So is this the key part? So again, a lot of this I know, Steve, for the benefit. 4-0. What's the plan as a manager you do for a fighter that's 4-0? Like Bradley Spencer's a prime example. What's the plan?
It's numbers building, fan base building, and getting him into a position where we can go for that first title, the Southern Area title, and then looking at who's around and whether we want to put our head above the parapet at that time. What's very important is I'm not really that keen on putting our head above the parapet to lose. I want to put our head above the parapet to win. So it's about spotting the type of fighters we want to fight for those titles.
And also when the fighter's ready, because ultimately you don't want to. Some fighters are there after 6 fights, some take 12. It depends, isn't it? It's about gauging the fighter as well.
Linus Udofia was ready for ages, wasn't he? And we had the fight that fell out with him. But then we skipped the Southern Area, went to the English, and we found what ended up being a very hard fight, but we thought was ideal, Tyler Denny. So it's about getting him ready and then looking for the opportunity. If the opportunity had been at Southern Area level for him at the time, maybe we would have gone Southern Area. But we managed to will that opportunity.
We had the Southern Area, didn't he? Obviously, Taylor Jones at the time, and then obviously that fell out, and then obviously Brad come and clicked it. Well, that sort of fell out, and then
so we had to do that. So Brad came in and got that. Linus came in and got that. So you can see how we've navigated Brad and Linus. So look at how we've navigated Dean Richardson, Brad Pauls, Linus Udofia. They are 3 perfect scenarios of how you take a fighter from scratch from nowhere. So those really, the best thing to say to somebody is, because anybody in boxing, as you know, people bullshit about what they're going to do with these young prospects, and a lot of them just don't know what they're doing, don't deliver. Just look at those fighters and you can see how that we do it. And Deion Jumah is an example of taking somebody with talent and building the back, the same as we did with Frank Buglioni. So it's a different skill set.
To a certain extent.
Miles as well, we rebuilt him back. Waddy Camacho, we rebuilt him back. So management and planning is different according to different situations. But when you're starting from scratch, it's about learning your craft, fighting the various types of opponent, and developing yourself to the area where you're ready to go, so that we can then press the button when we're ready.
So for people to think this, just maybe think of saying, would you describe yourself as a manager that promotes or a promoter that manages?
A manager that promotes, without a doubt.
And why is that the basis? Why is that the ethos?
Because the management is the key. The promoter, at the end of the day, whether it's whoever's show, doesn't really matter. The promotions that we have a connection with, we can use that to help my fighters build. Because the ultimate goal is for all my fighters to be on TV, earn TV money, make a successful career, take their ability to as far as it can go. So a manager that has a promotional setup is able then to use that promotional setup when they need to. So that's our skill set. We happen to promote. But if, for example, I get a fighter and after one fight he gets an amazing television deal, well, that fighter's not going to appear on any Goodwin related shows, because I move them on to those sorts of other shows. And that's what it's about. So we're just managing fighters, and the idea being that as time goes on, we move them to whatever show suits.
Whatever's best for the fighter.
That's quite different than what a lot of other people do, but that's what we do.
Okay.
We need to look at Bradley Spencer, though.
We do, yeah. So some of his action. So Josh is using his editing skills, and he should now see some of his action.
Hey guys, Bradley Spencer here, boxing again on the Fist of Fury show, Steve Goodwin Promotions on March 21st. Looking forward to getting back in the ring and putting on a career best performance. Training my new trainer out in Harrow, Matthew Hake, fantastic coach, put me through my paces and get me ring fit. As I said, expect a good fight on the night. I've had 4 fights so far, 4 wins, so far so good, looking to keep it undefeated and getting that 5th win on the 21st. So I'm working hard in the gym, pushing myself, and hopefully I'll be edging closer to the Southern Area total by the end of 2020. Looking forward to seeing you all on the night, and I'll keep you updated with all the training content. Peace out.
So you've seen some of Bradley Spencer, so obviously a talented boy, I say look out for him in March. Moving on now to the section that your friend has crowbarred himself in, the Trevorism.
Trevor Padden's Trevorism.
What is it this week?
So for you, Kev, this is the Trevorism. So he comes up with some amazing ideas.
Is that what you call them, amazing?
Amazing. Well, he's Irish, so. I'm going to see him Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to see him Saturday. No, but Trevor's a very smart man, but he thinks of things in a unique way.
Very.
That my wife's Irish as well, but they do think about things in certain ways. But here we go. This week's Trevorism.
Okay.
If a fight is a draw, boxers should go back in for one more winner takes all round. So what he wants to see at the end of a fight, you go to the judges. The judges go, I'm afraid it's a draw. Clear the ring,
and then go back
in the corner, 3 minutes, all systems go.
Do you know what? It's not the worst idea he's had. Because I mentioned this in the fight preview we talked about before. Draws are an anticlimax for both sides. It's the worst result for everybody because both sides feel like they've lost. So I understand. I don't think it's necessary. I don't know whether they would do it, but I don't think it's a terrible idea.
I went to ice hockey last week. Mm-hmm. It was really good, and it was a draw at the end of 3 periods, and they played 1 5-minute sudden death. It was really exciting.
Yeah.
So you do sort of think.
The only trouble with that is if it's a drawn round.
But it can't be a drawn round. The referee, I guess you've got 3 judges.
It's got to be a 10-9,
or the referee has to score it for somebody. So it's actually.
It could work. It would turn. I hate draws, and the prime example was Liam Din and Yusuf Kamari. It's an excellent fight. Neither deserve to lose. Both deserve to win, which makes a draw the right result. But it kind of like just took a shine off it for both parties. I say both feel dejected, both feel robbed in a way because they both feel they should win the fight.
I actually don't think it's a bad idea.
I don't think it's the worst idea he's ever had.
So let everybody know what you think.
Yeah,
should
let us
boxers
know.
go back
Comment
in for
below,
one more
message us.
3 minutes? Because should that be because it would add to the thrill of the boxing event, wouldn't it?
I would imagine. Can you imagine just doing 12 rounds though, coming back 10 rounds, whatever the English 12 rounds thing, coming back and then thinking, oh, fuck, I've got to do another round, digging it out for 3 minutes. It would almost be like a prize fighter type round, wouldn't it? I think people would go nuts.
But even if it's a 6-round fight or 4-round fight, the same as.
Oh, it's across.
No, it's not. It's about. He's talking about so if you go to a small hall show. And it's a draw after 4 rounds. You go back in for one more.
Round. It's not the worst idea he's ever had, and he's had some corkers. But it's not the worst one. As Steve said, let us know below your thoughts on whether you think. Message us, comment below whether you think a sudden death round would be a good idea.
And let Trevor know when you
let Trevor know. Yeah, he's Well, I say it's not the worst idea. Okay, so the quickfire quiz. So obviously, tell us about the quickfire quiz. How's the leaderboard looking? If you can remember,
the Iceman.
The Iceman. Wow, where did that come from?
The man he says.
The man can barely string sentences together, and he pulls out boxing knowledge.
It was good, wasn't he? He was very good, and. But yeah, the Iceman is ahead, and Ramez Mahmood is promising to come on in February because he thinks he's going to go to the top of the table.
Go on, Ramez.
Topping up the table with 0 points is
Linus Shadofia, I think.
Linus Shadofia, boxing.
Linus, come on.
He needs to have another go, doesn't he?
It does. I think they're obviously harsh on you there, Linus. Obviously, Steve stitched you up with the old quiz, the questions on that one.
But this week we have the fighting pride of Kent, Jake Spring. Undefeated boxer, obviously come back after a break. He's 2-0. His trainer Gary works closely with us, but Jake Spring thought he'd have a go. He told me that Kent boxing people know more about boxing than the rest of the people in the country.
Stitch it right.
That's what he said. He said upstairs. I said, do you want to do the quick fire quiz? He said, He said, dude, but you do understand that people in Kent are far superior than anybody else in boxing knowledge.
Well,
so he said he was going to prove it.
Let's see if it's right. So we're just going to cut now, and you'll see Jake Spring doing the quickfire quiz.
Welcome to today's edition of the Quickfire Quiz. If we have a look at the leaderboard, we've got a very big difference in the leader to the bottom. We've got Linus Udofia propping up the board with 0, and Paul Sinfield, the Iceman, who scored 5 at the top. Martin Fearbold's on there in the middle with a 2. And today we welcome lightweight Jake Spring, undefeated boxer from Kent, who's back in the ring in March at York Hall. And today we're going to be not testing his boxing prowess, but we're going to be testing his boxing knowledge, which I've been assured is absolutely top notch. So we're going to we're going to find out. So we're going to wait for the signal, and then we're going to be ready to go. We've got 60 seconds. Instant answer, you can pass if you don't know, but away we go.
And go.
Miles Shinkwin lost to Hosea Burton in what round?
3.
6. Who is the current British lightweight champion?
Joe Cordell.
Correct. What was Muhammad Ali's geographical nickname?
Cassius Clay.
Louisville Lip. Who is the only boxer to have defeated Liam Williams?
No, pass.
Liam Smith. Who was the first world light heavyweight champion to win a world heavyweight title?
World light heavy, did you say?
Yeah, who won a heavyweight title?
Is it Nathan Clevery?
Michael Spinks. Who was the first person to beat Marvin Hagler?
Tom Sands.
Bobby Watts. Sugar Ray Leonard defeated which fighter in 1981 to become undisputed world welterweight champion?
No, pass.
Tommy Hearns. Who was the first boxer in history to become world champion in 8 weight divisions?
Manny Pacquiao.
Correct. We're done?
Done.
So, Jake has got a very respectable 2 points, which puts him in joint 3rd place in the leaderboard. So, I think you've done a good job.
So I'll take that.
Thanks a lot, and we'll be back next week with the next person to take the challenge. Well, he wasn't as bright as he thought.
Now, to be fair, Jake knew about doing the quickfire quiz about 15 seconds before we did it.
Yeah,
And
he said he was naturally knowledgeable. You can't, if you're going to give it the big one, like Ramez Mahmood has been giving it the big one for months. He needs to come and
Ramez has
improve
got to
it.
come on, and if he ends up being
Live Linus.
yeah, that's not good. But not bad from Jake. So
No, he done all right, Jake. So full credit to him, and we'll move on to next week.
Okay, Q&A. Well, there's loads and loads of questions this week. It must be driven by Martin. Everyone must just digging Martin out with with the questions. Okay, so let's have a look. So I haven't proofread any of these, so I'm going to
take them as they come.
Okay, so Colin Middlemas, would you ever look at doing it Sunday afternoon shows?
We have.
Not by choice.
Not by
But
choice, but we
Randy
have.
Carter used to do Sunday afternoon shows.
We did them. We ran out. We desperately needed a date, and we did back-to-back shows on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
It's harder for boxers to sell tickets on the Sunday.
Yeah, it's logistical problems, isn't there, for Sundays. So Sundays, Colin, are a problem. Boxers find it hard to sell tickets. People don't want to necessarily come to boxing on Sunday. Some do, some don't. Also, it's a problem for opponents. So what happens with a journeyman or any opponent is you can't box for 7 days after you fight. So if you fight on a Sunday, you effectively rule out 2 weekends. You can't fight that weekend, obviously, on the Friday or Saturday beforehand, and theoretically you can't fight the Friday and Saturday the next weekend. So you lose 2 weekends of work because there's few Sunday shows. So it is a logistical and opponent problem as well, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean it's not ideal. So we have looked at it. It doesn't financially really work. Boxers struggle. It's harder. Opponents cost more because you're flying more in from abroad. It's not ideal.
it's a nice idea, but logistically.
But I'm not saying we'll never do one again.
yeah.
But it's gonna when we do it, it's gonna be because we're forced to, not because we want to.
There you go. So hopefully that answers that for you, Colin. Next one from Mr. Baldy, 87. Have you lost weight, Steve?
Depends if you've lost weight from the highest weight or lost weight overall. Now I've put on weight in the last.
It's been Christmas, though,
year.
to be fair.
Yeah, so
There's
I've got-
two times a year you should put on weight: Christmas and a holiday. If you don't put on weight in those 2
The
points,
problem is
you're
I
doing
had
it
too
wrong.
many holidays last year.
Yeah.
And I Christmas.
Yeah,
So I was
14 holidays a year.
constantly putting weight on. So the good news is I'm not going away anywhere till May, so it's great.
Yeah,
So
I'm not going away for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I can now.
You're always in a flux of holidays, and you're either on holiday, going on holiday, or preparing for the next holiday.
It is.
I used
it
to
was
say
like that.
you have more holidays than Thomas Cook, but you do now because everyone does. Because Thomas Cook doesn't have any holidays.
No, I mean I had a lot of breaks last year, but no,
But no, in seriousness, you have from obviously last year.
I've lost weight, but I'm still 1.5 stones heavier than I was
when you lost.
when I lost
but
loads of weight.
you're still down on that.
I'm still down overall, but now I'm working down towards it all again.
So there you go, Mr. Baldy. Steve will send you the £10 that you've he obviously agreed to pay you. This one's for me actually, Mel Tennant. So obviously Mel, our security lady. Will you behave yourself this season? Now that's aimed at me.
What did you do wrong?
The Cave Prosper fight, the Sam Amazing, the first one.
Yeah.
So if it's two Goodwin boxing fighters fighting, I don't sit ringside.
No,
I
no,
go
you
to the
don't.
back to watch the. You have to, so I
Yeah.
don't, because I don't like
No, I
doing
understand
it.
that.
And so I don't like to sit ringside, so I go to the back. Now, if it's a Goodwin fighter fight another, I tend to be a bit closer, because obviously I want to be. So Sam Amazing versus K Prosper. I thought Sam should have had points deducted for. I can't remember if it was hitting the back of the head
Yeah,
or
I
hitting
thought
the back.
so.
I can't remember
I thought so.
holding. I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was
Yeah.
exactly. But I was getting quite animated, and obviously I kept charging towards the ring apron and screaming because I thought stuff like that. And then Mel grabbed hold of me and like dragged me back to my
Oh, did
chair.
she?
And ever since then, she's always said about you're going to behave yourself. So I can't promise Mel. I do get a bit excited. So yeah, no, I can't make any promises, but I'll try to behave. I'll try. The next one is Alan Curtis. Okay, so hi Steve. Again, I haven't proof of this, so it's hi Steve. You mentioned last week Linus and the potential of fighting for the British title. Boxing News British Rankings has an asterisk next to his name saying he's not eligible to fight for it. I'm assuming it's his Nigerian roots. Can you clear this up?
He's got a British passport.
Yeah. So, explain the eligibility for.
Well, you've got to fight for a British title. You have to have.
You have to be a resident, don't you? You have to be.
No,
You have to
British
be
passport.
citizenship. Yeah, you have to have citizenship. not
I know. I
residency.
have seen a case where somebody did fight. I've seen two cases, which I don't know how it happened, where boxers fought for the British title didn't have British passports.
Yeah.
But that should never. I don't know how they got through.
No.
But
So,
they
being
did.
British, you have to be a British citizen.
Yeah.
But to fight for like English, you just
You've
have to
done
be
a
residency. So you just have to be here
5-year
for
residency,
5 years.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't know why. It's obviously a mistake in the thing. He is eligible to fight for the British title, and hopefully will.
Yeah.
One day and one day soon. Okay, little plug here, Boxing Luton. Have you read my piece on how boxing can be a solution to county lines and gang crime? That's obviously Boxing Luton, shameless plug, and then he's put the link up, so we will put the link
Have a
out.
look at it. Yeah, no, I've read it. It's good.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but
It's really good.
yeah,
It's really good.
It's interesting. Let's say Boxing Luton, always a good supporter of Luton
Yeah.
boxing, and does some good articles. JP.
Yeah, he's a good man. Good man.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we've had, unless you've had any coming in.
That's it. Perfect.
Okay, so hopefully Martin will be back next week, so it'll be more normal service resumed. Should be next week. Thanks for joining us. So if you've got any questions for next week, fire them in, Martin, myself, or Steve, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Steve.
Cheers.